Hi, my name is Peter Chappell and I'd like to talk to you about the evolution of medicine. I've been a homeopath for 40 years and I've worked in many countries around the world. And finally it's dawned on me some basics about the evolution of medicine. If we go back into the distance of time, what we know is, from evolution and studies of animals, is that animals lick what they like. And the reality is today that if you have a sick horse and you put it in a wild field of herbs where all the herbs and things have been allowed to grow, it will select the medicine it needs to heal itself. Now we went from this tradition, we grew up with this tradition in us when we were animals, and we brought it with us into the human kingdom. And all the different forms of traditional medicine based on nutrients and herbs, whether it's Chinese medicine or traditional African medicine or traditional Western herbal medicine or Native American Indian medicine, it's all the same in essence. It all comes from this tradition. Not only that, but conventional medicines all come from this tradition too, amazingly enough. What they did in the 1950s onwards is isolate chemically, once they had the skills, the active ingredients in the herbs and minerals and synthesize them and get patents for it. And this was really a big scam because, you know, the herbs were better in the context of being herbs, and to take out the active ingredient meant you could patent it and call it a medicine and make a business with a good foundation because of the patent, but it's not as good as the natural equivalent. But there you go. That's just what happened. And since then they've made Me Too drugs, which also just extend the life of the patents. And now they're facing patent cliffs because anybody can make these generic drugs much, much cheaper. We saw that in AIDS in Africa, where the drugs were costing $10,000 a year for the average Western patient, and actually they could make them for $100 a year and still be profitable. And finally they did, out of humanitarian complaints. But anyway, the main point I'm trying to make is that all medicines derive from the same basic source. If you go back to the homeopathic, if you go back to the Merck manual of the Millennium edition, that's the 17th edition, and by that you get with it the Merck manual, volume 1 of 1899. And what's really interesting there as a homeopath is you see the essence of a materia medica and repertory using the medicines of that day. And they are all the same ones that you see in homeopathy, arsenicum and mercury and cadmium and all those remedies, and the lots of the herbs, quinine, etc., and crataegus, all the herbs are in there too. So there's nothing missing pretty much from the pharmacopoeia of 1899 of conventional medicine that wasn't in homeopathy, and vice versa. So this means there's been no fundamental change in medicine since time began. And what happened was, when I was in Ethiopia treating AIDS, I'd taken the genus epidemicus approach, and I had taken the cases of 70 people with AIDS who were dying of AIDS, and dying rapidly of AIDS. And I realized that once I'd got the total minimum of AIDS, as Hahnemann recommended, that no remedy had ever been discovered in homeopathy that treated the totality of a disease. What we had was a system of partial totalities. And if you look in the repertory under any disease, you'll find a list of remedies for that disease. They're all partial sublimums. There's not one that is the totality. Now, in theory, nosodes should be this. And Sometimes they're pretty effective in epidemic diseases. But they're more well known as prophylaxis than cure. And I have a theory about why that is. But my main point is, in homeopathy, there is, and conventional medicine, in all systems of medicine, they have no totality remedy for an epidemic disease. And once I realized this, I made a new way of making medicines, which is the most original step, as far as I can see, that's ever been made in medicine since time began on this planet. And it's completely amazing because it worked. It worked from the first day I tried it. I tried it with AIDS, and the patients were really transformed. We've tried it for a decade now. The same remedy for AIDS has been prescribed for tens of thousands of people by hundreds of different people around Africa especially, and around the world. And it's very reliable. We say it's a 100% reliable remedy. Now that's the power of the total subliminal remedy. And that's what all these videos are about. So what I'm saying is that PC technology making PC remedies is a fundamental new step in medicine. The second step after the beginning of the traditional medicine when animal life first began. It's that simple and that profound. Thank you for watching.